We're coming up on an Oregon Green Austrian Pine, coming to you from the Northern Great Plains, Zone 4. We're late March here, just coming out of winter. Most things are still dormant. And I've been debating whether or not I should lift up these lower branches on this small conifer right here. You can see it's starting to compete with this autumn brilliant serviceberry, a beautiful white blooming spring flowering plant, as well as a tree back here, the showy mountain ash. Hey everybody, I'm Kevin, and I've been trying to decide now for the last 2 to 3 years whether or not I should lift up the lower branches on this pine, and it's really personal preference. More often than not, I try to leave most of my plants more in their natural state, just how they're going to develop, but this is starting to get just a little bit too crowded in between here. I also recently, I lifted up a lot of the lower branches on some of my deciduous trees, and I really liked the look of it. I also experimented on a hoops blue spruce and lifted up some lower branches. There again, at first, I wasn't sure what I got myself into, but I decided I actually kind of like the look. So that's what I'm going to do today here too. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do this, and maybe you've got a similar project. By seeing how this turns out, you'll be able to also tell whether or not you're going to like the end result. Hey Bandit, how are you doing, buddy, huh? Okay, let me take you through a quick history of our pine before we tackle the pruning project. It was just a little guy about 3 feet tall 10 years ago when I planted it, but it grew quickly and unfortunately got hit with some major winter burn a few years later. But luckily the new growth flushed out in the spring, and after some major needle shed, it actually looked really good by the end of the next season, other than having to remove the main leader due to that tough winter, and bringing us to the present day about 10 years later. Okay, so let's bring you in just for a little bit closer look what I'm talking about. You can see right down here, that main trunk. I want to go down below that area, this lower whorl, I'm going to call that. And there's probably, 7 to 10 branches. So we're going to be exposing about 2 to 3 feet worth of trunk. What that's going to do, that's going to allow us to, the maintenance with the mowing, we'll be able to get under there just a little bit easier, quit getting hit on the mower, as well as open up just a little bit of a view, being able to see through that yellow ribbon arborvitae in the back. That's just one of my favorite arborvitaes. So that's kind of the goal on what's going to happen here. Now, if you've ever done any pruning on pine branches, they're pretty soft, and this handsaw is going to be what I'm going to mostly use. It'll cut through those pine branches pretty easy. I will start though with the chainsaw, and I'm going to come in and I'm just going to release the pressure on some of these branches, take that outer limb off, the weight falls off. That way when we're cutting up against the trunk, we don't get a tear on it. Now keep in mind before I get started, this is something that there's a point of no return here. Pines and conifers in general will not resprout from the main trunk like a deciduous tree will. Over time though, the weight of the new growth and branches will begin to arch downward, so you never know, 4 to 5 years from now, I might be right back to where I started here. And even though I'm beyond the point of no return, I'm already kind of regretting it, just like I did on the hoop spruce. But I think once it's all cleaned up and these trees next to it leaf out, I'm going to be happy with how it looks. And believe it or not, this Oregon Green is considered kind of a bonsai type looking evergreen, a little bit bunchy, not a perfect pyramidal form as you can see. So I might have a little more fun with this and also thin out some of those inner branches, trying to create more of that effect, that bonsai look. It's hard to believe how quickly a landscape can change in a short period of time. I'll admit it never even crossed my mind that I would eventually be lifting up these lower branches. One of the other reasons I'm actually trying to avoid the chainsaws, there's some rocks down here. I don't want to get surprised under this buildup of needles. There's something under there and ruin my chain. I can already tell that these fresh cuts, that lighter color, are initially going to stick out like a sore thumb. But in a matter of a few weeks they'll weather and change color, similar to the darker main trunk. I think one of the things that catch many people off guard after planting pines is how many needles they can shed each year. It's a natural part of the tree's life cycle, but I know it drives some people crazy. And I'll admit, some of the longer needle pines can be a nuisance to clean up, like the ponderosa pine that is common in our area. Just amazing how many needles you have to rake up in certain areas. And there's actually quite a few in here that I'll be cleaning up after I'm done pruning. Like most pruning projects, it sure doesn't take long to come up with a large pile of branches to deal with. Luckily, I have a city disposal site that takes woody branches for recycling, but now that I've got many of my trees getting larger, I'm thinking a chipper shredder might be in my future. Okay, so wow, what a change in character for this area. Since we're still dormant, I'm not loving it just yet, but I know when we start greening up and the perennials and shrubs begin to flower, it's going to be nice to see back through into this area again. And with that thought in mind, spring finally did come, and it was really nice to better see some of the plants blooming back here from a distance. Here's a fernleaf peony that's just finishing up with its spring flowers, and we just love this one. Look how it looked about a week ago when in full bloom. Definitely one of my wife's and my favorites. And it won't be long that these salvias that you see here will steal the show and be in bloom for many, many weeks. This is a great perennial, by the way, if you're looking to draw in the bumblebees. They just absolutely love this flower. And you'll notice here too that I've actually got quite a bit of open space near this pine tree, and now that it's more open with more light available, it's going to be a lot easier to establish some new plants here. And you may have noticed those fresh pruning cuts I mentioned are fading now, blending in nicely with the color of the bark of the trunk. Alright, so love it or hate it, at least now you've got an idea what this might look like if you've got a similar project, what to expect. That's all I've got for now. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you again next video.